Hi, Capricorn Sun and Rising. Welcome to your May 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. And May. What is happening? Well, on the first of the month, Pluto is going retrograde at 22 minutes of Aquarius. So, because this is so much of an early, it's not even 1 degree of Aquarius. For all practical purposes, it's still in your sign in a way. And on June 11th, it will officially retrograde back into your sign. So I want to talk about how this may affect you because the Pluto retrograde can be even deeper than Pluto direct in the sense that it's personally about you digging within yourself. The last 15 years since you've had Pluto in Capricorn, you may have had experiences with other people that have shaped how you view yourself. And that has been very transformative. Well, right now, this is about you specifically and what you're doing and what you're not doing. Sometimes the things that we're doing contribute to negative outcomes. Sometimes the things that we're not do contribute to negative outcomes. So it's all about bringing it back to yourself. And this can involve things on the physical level, the way that you dress. These things we think of as superficial, and they are, but they also create ripple effects. Regardless of them being superficial, we have to accept the fact that other people have different types of consciousness. So they're going to react based on their own consciousness. When I think about it, I'll give you an example. It's like when I was younger, I'm not a Capricorn, I'm a Sag, but it's anybody can really experience this. I was looking to draw attention to myself. Now I'm content to not have attention drawn to myself by how I dress, for instance. And, maybe there's a period of time when there's some reason why this may be valid or what have you, but we evolve and we kind of like rethink some of the things that we're doing. And this may be that time for you in terms of the way that you carry yourself as well. Nothing is set in stone and we can change. And you're also going to have another Pluto retrograde into Capricorn in 2024. I don't know exactly when, but I do know that Pluto is going to stay in Aquarius at some point in November of 2024 and then stay there for 20 years. So we're talking about a heavy duty transit for you because you're still going to be asked to transform yourself. It's not over yet, but it's for the highest good. On the 5th, we have a lunar eclipse at 14 degrees of Scorpio. This is the 11th house, and I think that, yes, the 11th house can be connected to the people that you socialize with, and that can also include groups that you're involved with. And sometimes it's not really just social. I mean, it's technically social, but it's not just for fun. You may have like a higher goal with certain groups or people. But with this lunar eclipse, sometimes this can be ending this in a massive way. Now, one reason this may happen, I'm trying to think here about your 9th house and how that's being activated. Actually, that's where the Taurus energy the Taurus energy is in the 5th. So it would be more of the Virgo stuff that's going on. And Um, I don't think there's anything specifically at this moment, because what I was going to say is that if some of you are planning to make a major move, such as moving to a different country, which I would associate more with the ninth house, for instance, then you may be letting go of a lot of your social network in your current country. But this can simply be because things have changed in your life. If you have, for instance, if you have let go of an addiction, um, there's a saying, people, places, and things, that you have to kind of um, change how you do things, because otherwise you could fall back into the old patterns. So that could be one reason, but it's almost like it's happening beyond your control. It's not necessarily you doing it. And if that's the case, if for some reason you're this is a very interesting development, because there could be something that is another thing about the 11th house. It's the house of hopes and wishes. And so maybe something comes into fruition that really happens in a massive way due to past efforts. Also, gains is connected to the 11th house, which has to do with your career and money that you are earning. And that could also be the same thing. It's almost like you go from hardly making anything to just like a flood of profit that you did not necessarily expect. It's a breakthrough. That's how I see it too, is like a breakthrough. On the 7th, Venus goes into Cancer. And so here we have that opposite house, Capricorn. Nice to see a harmonious planet going into that area, because Mars is still there until the 20th. And Mars can be like very contentious. There, some kind of like fight or friction. Venus can bring harmony and also money. So if there's a lawsuit, it can indicate that you are going to financially gain from this, profit from this. But it can be great for relationships being restored. On the 14th, Mercury goes direct at almost 6 degrees of Taurus. Fellow Earth sign, trining you, most harmonious aspect. And this is the 5th house. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm referring to, because you may have heard back from an old lover. 5th house, especially, anybody from your past who kind of contacted you, or I suppose you might have contacted them. Perhaps it produced some kind of friction in your primary relationship. And this can also be for creative artists. This can be, reworking an idea, a creative idea, getting back to love. Things should settle down because of Mercury going direct and coming out of its shadow in a few weeks. On the 16th, Jupiter goes into this area. You're going to see a lot of energy in this 5th house, which is great in the sense that it's also the house of pleasure. It's the house of your business, if you own a business or if you plan to own a business. Uranus is already here. Uranus has been here several years. And maybe for some Capricorn people, you have felt like this freedom. Capricorn tends to be a traditional sign, so settling down is in your DNA, or your astro DNA at least. And Yet this may be some kind of a time when you feel like, I don't know about playing the field, but you just want to enjoy, relish that sense of freedom that gives you pleasure, because this pleasure area can come via many different things, including sports and concerts and theater, but maybe even a state of being where you are unencumbered and you just like that. I can, an example would be somebody who has been divorced after a long marriage, and the marriage was, DOA, but it was kind of, you were just hanging in there for, years beforehand, and it was really draining your energy. And maybe now there's this kind of celebratory thing where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just enjoying this freedom. So that's really great, and it also can mean that you are lucky with anything artistic. You may have a lot with Jupiter here. You may have a lot of opportunities also for romance, and I actually think that's a good thing, because it can lead to having, they say, the pick of the litter, the person that is best suited for you, instead of feeling kind of like, oh well, these are my prospects. I don't have much to work with here. So it can be a very expansive time in terms of love, and also Jupiter is a planet of freedom too. So maybe you'll meet a Sagittarian, or even a Pisces can be associated with Jupiter. On the 19th, we have a new moon here at a late degree of Taurus, 28 degrees. So, new love coming in. Maybe this is someone, maybe you're not starting a relationship with them, but you're starting to date, or you're just at least infatuated. You might be starting a new creative project, perhaps. And it's just very nice, because all those other planets make you feel free, because, Taurus is an earth sign, a fixed sign, I should say, and it tends to be quite set in its ways as a sign. So when they have these planets expanding it, it makes Taurus people, or the Taurus influence, much more capable of freedom. And it trines you, so that's wonderful too. It's a great angle. On the 20th, Mars goes into Leo. So here we have this sign that is associated with the fifth house. Isn't that funny? And for everybody, this is a very dramatic energy. There can be a lot of ego sometimes involved. And because it's fixed like Taurus, it can be very stubborn. So people wanting their own way. In your case, this falls in, I think it's the eighth house, is it not? Yeah. Now, what this can be, because the eighth house is shared resources, Mars is a warrior type of energy. It is possible that for some of you, this is like, if you are going through a divorce, it gets heated and you're arguing over whose money is whose. Also, inheritances could be a part of this. Mars Mars can be the sex drive, and the eighth house is associated with sex. However, and maybe this would be the exception, because usually I think of the eighth house as more of the mystical sexual union rather than just the fifth house. The fifth house is actually recreational sex. So if you have met somebody that you really deeply feel you love, then it might be indicating that kind of cosmic physical union. But even like inheritances, anything money related that you're fighting back on or fighting with somebody else on, Um, and remember to keep your humanity. Money is just money. It's a tool, but it should never debase us. On the other hand, sometimes you may be dealing with a narcissistic personality who has always been exploiting others in one way or the other. And you might feel like this is the stand you wish to take, and you're going to fight this person all the way because you don't want them to get away with yet another thing. On the 21st, we have the sun going into Gemini, and that for you is the sixth house of work. And this is Virgo's domain, so it's an earth house. So it's very compatible with how you do things, Capricorn. So it just makes a person want to be more organized and health conscious, and that can be in reaction to other things that are currently going on with you. You did have Mars in this sector for 7 months. So it's possible that you have been fighting, something, who knows, maybe that's connected to Mars in the eighth house. Maybe you're fighting for some kind of benefit at work that you were supposed to take part in, like what do they call it, profit sharing or something like that, where it was kind of like together with others. There's maybe this fight of yours is work related, but anyway, this is going to make you feel more organized, or want to be more organized. That's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading from somebody who has Mars in Capricorn, I don't know if that really will impress anyone, but I have a package deal called a deep dive reading, which I developed because I used to do hour-long readings that were a combination of chart analysis and like transits for the year or something like that. And within 1 hour, it wasn't enough time. I was like going way over the time limit. I do that anyway sometimes. And uh, it really didn't feel as substantial as it could be. You really want to dive in deep, obviously. So that's why I created these readings, but I, made a package deal so it's more affordable. And I do have those readings as standalone readings as well as other types of readings, and also a tarot combination with astrology called the Whole Enchilada. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for listening, Cap. Take care. Bye.